Hey everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Shemeto. If you're new here, I'm a photographer in London, and today, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be discussing which one is better, natural light or artificial light. Let's get straight into it. So, as we all know, everyone knows the meaning of photography, lighting and all of those stuff, and how important light is when taking pictures, but it all depends on what you want, whether you want to use natural or artificial light. Different scenarios you require to use different things. So if you're a fan of being able to use natural light or artificial light because I like to manipulate light, then probably artificial light will be better for you, just because whenever you're taking some pictures or using video, this applies to photography and video, you can use either of them. If it comes to artificial light, you can really change it. It doesn't really affect wherever you are. But just sometimes whenever you're taking pictures, artificial light is quite expensive, and different products and different brands have different prices, which makes it quite expensive. And most people like to use natural light. I myself like to use natural light. It was until recently that I just thought I'd start using speed lights and artificial light. Like this setup now is an artificial light right here that's pointing directly at me, and there's one at the other side, and I just felt, let me just try to use artificial light just because it makes it look more interesting. But natural light is very good for like portraits and some videos, but it's just some different brands. Just because I started working with brands, I decided to start using artificial light when it comes to taking photos or doing videos and all of that. And so like for most studio shoots, everyone uses artificial light, so it's important that you know what you want to use. It always takes practice. Like, as much as I've been using natural light, I had to start practicing how to use artificial light, and it took a bit of time. I mean, this little time I've been off, it's just been practicing, working on some projects and all. So it's just been, you need to practice every single time whenever you're taking those pictures or you're using video with light. And so there's some pros and cons of using either artificial light or natural light. And I said earlier, this all depends on your preference and where you want to work. If you want to work with brands, you start learning to use artificial light. But if it's like just personal work and you want people to hire you, or either way, you can use natural light. But I personally just prefer natural light just because I find it much easier, and it makes you like tend to want to push yourself. Like if you want to go in the morning and you want to get a sunrise photo shoot or video, then you have to get up in the morning. But with artificial light, you could literally just wake up at 10 a.m. and go into that place and then set up the lighting, put some big Godox softbox, and everything gets set. But I just like the idea of trying to get yourself up and doing what you need to do, and also being able to push yourself. It is important that you learn that, okay, let's push yourself. But there are pros and cons in using artificial natural light, which we'll go into next. And so when it comes to artificial light, it is commonly available during the day, and sometimes it doesn't require you to like plan or anything. And based on the different type of lights you end up picking, you make either sunrise or sunset or anything. And there is that comfortability that you can just easily get up and go and pick any location you want as long as you have artificial light. And when it comes to natural light is contrast, it's free of charge, you don't need to pay anything extra, and it's available. I mean, you could just go outside and take some pictures. Sometimes I always recommend that most like beginner photographers start with natural light. If you know how to use natural light in the beginning, it makes things a lot easier, because then you may not need to end up spending money on artificial light. For like the first year or two that I started doing my photography, I started using natural light just because anyone can call you anytime, and if you don't have the artificial light, you can just use outside as like a studio setup. So because the natural light, you're used to it and you know how it all works, and yeah, it's a lot more easier, I would say, whenever you're using natural light. Using artificial light comes a lot of burden. You tend to look for different things, different specs, different lights have different temperatures and all of that. Then you have to carry out the setup, and a lot more expensive in general. And if you want like get some more ambitious kind of lighting, you have to use more compared to natural light where you just pick it up and it's everywhere. I mean, you don't have to pick it up or anything. But when it comes to artificial light, then you have to like start setting up, constantly get more money, invest more money into it, and it costs a lot more on the whole horizon. Really part of the reason why I started using natural light at first, just because it's a lot more easier, it's cheaper, I'll say, and you don't tend to have any issues when it comes to like setup. But just when it comes to natural lighting, the disadvantages, even though it has like it's cheap, it's easy to get around, but sometimes it has its own dilemma. You tend to go outside and then you have like bad days where it's all muddy. Sometimes people always say whenever you're taking pictures, you should take pictures when the cloud is overcast. Even though sometimes I don't really like that, just because it makes the whole picture look moody compared to what my photos look like every time they're moody. But that's beside the point. But what I'm trying to say is, natural light, even though it had advantages, it also had disadvantages. So when anyone is out there looking like, oh, what should I get? Should I use natural light for my portrait or video, or should I use artificial light? I think it all depends on what you have in mind. If you have in mind to work with brands, I would suggest you start learning how to use artificial light, just because there will be some places where you will be, you could travel and there will be no natural light that will be good, or there could be places where you will travel where the artificial light is very horrible and you have to go outside to use the natural light. You know what I mean? So different scenarios. But to answer your question, which one is better? Personally, I like natural light, just because it gives me the push to go out more, and it gives me like this freedom to use any type of light that is there. It just pushes your creativity. But if you want to use artificial light, it's up to you. I mean, it all depends on what you want. Like I said, brands, they prefer to use artificial light. If you're going to studios and you want to learn how to use light in studios, you should start using artificial light, speed lights or LED lamps or stop boxes. Just learn how to use most of them. It makes it easier when you're in the studio. Personal preferences. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched us for this moment, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do those things. Share it with a friend. If you know anyone that is kind of stuck in between whether you should get artificial light, they can pick which one they want to pick. You know what I mean? So it's all up to you. I hope I was able to answer some of those questions, the advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, quit talking, start doing.